17. Damn, every time I think about wrapping this up, world disaster triples in 24 hours. Forget your ignorant governments and superficial CNN. You'll only stay informed and armed for action by dozing off and waking up to National Public Radio or your international news equivalent for in-depth world crisis coverage. If not the solutions only our protecting and loving minds and hearts can conceive of and lead. You would keep hearing that my USA, all the Americas, and the entire earth accepting intermittent, undependable floods, ever deepens savage, permanent drought. 18 months before this winter of 2024 writing, of Monterrey, Mexico's 3 reservoirs, 2 were gone and the third was a puddle. Water taps of 3 million city dwellers dribbled only a few hours daily. People slowly filled containers, then rushed to join giant lines at rare public spigots. Line crashers got beaten up. Millions returned home empty-handed after limited supplies ran out. Rare spring rains saved the city last summer of 2023, but USA Today's published research expects numerous northern Mexico cities to run totally out of reservoir and all other water sources soon, and permanent drought to also end water flow to many United States cities. My own Austin, Texas reservoir is half empty and dropping. Water Pros scheme a 20-year plan to store Colorado River rainy day surpluses underground, then pump it back up on severe water shortage days. Unfortunately, global warming's baked-in plot is to fully dry up both rain and our Lake Travis in 5 years. Never mind any fantasy surplus. Mexico has a permanent commitment to Texas to leave major portions of the Rio Grande River flow to Texas farm irrigation and municipal water consumers, just as America expects Mexico to access their share. Today, the River Water International Sharing Pact is dead and gone, along with all but a trickle of the Rio Grande. 6 different Texas Valley crops for generations have depended on river irrigation. Next spring and summer, most will totally die. Billions in economic losses will ravage a giant area. After cutting off factories also, water planners with 0 new sources, diverting last lake dregs to our life-preserving 8 glasses a day, have only resort to prayer. Except even Almighty God can't suddenly materialize 250,000 miles of coast-to-continental crest ocean condensation and river flood pipes or 40,000 CO2 air scrubber factories to fill our empty glasses before we die in 10 days. He would answer the prayer. I gave you brains and hands you should have used 10 years ago. My nightmare essays promising starvation from terminal drought merely state the obvious. Dead crops don't fill grocery shelves. As far as water to drink, our water managers remain stuck on last century's brief, not permanent drought premise. Normal areas simply send dry towns a couple of months of bottled water until rain prayers are always answered. My point, 24 world drought years render most of Earth abnormal. No surplus, ever less rain. Pray all you like, but jump on entirely new, non-regular rain sources or most of humanity dies fast. Fire water planners. Zero divided ain't more, morons. Hire swords into new water plowshares treaty makers. Except a single nutcase can't rescue us. You gotta make millions of powerful government directors of your taxes buy the gigantic new infrastructure of life, not death, needed. As my every speech obsesses about, politicians are privately paid to enrich 1% while dooming 100%. 100% of their focus is thus nurturing those few cronies who succor their pathetic little public careers in return. You'll have to save you. They won't. Their every thought and motive ignores the real dying world and all doomed humans. The lawmaking I demand resembles a wonderful, equal, democratic utopia. But look closer. We must seek this ideal society just to stay alive. Can I get a couple of strokes for loving everybody, not just 1% rich crony elites? I know, don't break my arm patting myself on the back. Monterey's residents keep yelling for a law to put local recreational drink bottlers out of business, reserving more water through their dying home faucets. Except when their third reservoir soon also goes dry, conservation of nothing remains nothing. Did you conserve your life savings for gold-priced bottled water? At least until gangs with AR-15s take it from you. I hear you talking back to me. Ain't it way too late for your fancy, slowly ascendant treaties war money diverted to emergency rescues? Probably is, but is not our fastest, strongest, individual and mass action thousands of times, indeed infinitely more hopeful than abject, passive, ignorant surrender to slow and fast death after billions suffer? To crystallize our purpose and plan, let's discuss today's NPR report from the Horn of Africa, including Ethiopia, where tens of millions have been dying of hunger and thirst for decades. Much of southern Africa's livestock and rancher livings keep dying without the necessary water, animal feed, and human survival crops. Short-sighted, stressed aid organizations ship in far too little water and animal feed while failing to rectify any land use, water, or food crisis. But then the NPR reporter walked across a single straight boundary, suddenly leaving behind a desert littered with skeletal cattle sniffing at ever-multiplying corpses. He strolled into miles of lush green crops waving in moist, fragrant breezes. Neither from a single drop more rainfall than the death desert he left behind. Who made heaven from hell? Far smarter aid organizations had told doomed, parched, failed livestock growers, "We have located major remaining water tables below your land. We will drill many wells, but never enough to water your thirsty animals and the massive feed crops needed for meat production. You could, however, bountifully irrigate your land for human food and cash crops, including efficient vegetable protein. To survive, you ranchers and herders must instead become farmers." Thus, in Africa's Horn and Ethiopia, a large, if partial, oasis was born. The reporter's story's happy ending? No. 20th century rain, now gone for decades more, raised those water tables, every well now draining them fast. Every coastal nation must explode desalination and floods to reservoir diversion as soon as only possible with the international revolution I describe, or humanity dies exactly as fast as our fresh rain, lakes, and crops disappear. Not one peep of another solution has ever been voiced, except a 100-year green energy reversal of CO2 emission exactly 90 years too late to restore water and food gone in 10 years. Or hopelessly temporary rationing, never increase of water and food, both about to frickin' vanish. Then your historically frozen by corruption leaders will urgently attempt to multiply zero. Time for your brain, not their insane. Today, the same horrific news day reported unending weeks of utterly unprecedented triple-digit summer across most all of America and Europe, exploding thousands of forest fires and also ruining thousands of drought-scorched farms and killing large numbers of people. Everywhere across the earth, drought accelerates towards near-future massive, pending total death by thirst and hunger. All of your leaders say nothing about doing nothing, otherwise lying to avoid getting fired and replaced for both reasons. Now, hadn't you and I better get cracking and keep demanding that just as caring and even more powerful folks join in by the billions? As my long emergency rant ends, your real persuasive motivation will be endless mounting death news. Hang on to and promote our solutions, though, because current leaders and reporters merely scratch the surface of 100% disaster with 0% focus on the vast legal, democratic, national, and international reform and massive crash industrial technology, all essential to rescue 8 billion, including guess whose family? Wide distribution of this pathetic amateur speech could spur many experts to design, publicize, and implement an infinitely better plan. But the grand beginning can only be you and I pounding public and to power our legal, democratic, just, anti-war, pro-rescue agenda. Death is upon us all, infants to geezers. Only the greatest, cleverest, most indefatigable effort from you and I can change rolling doomsday to revolutionary saving of billions of precious people. Please understand that abandoning that distant, all too abstract humanity will almost immediately become your suicide. But not before you become the passive, responsible witness to your family's suffering and murder. Our world ends in terminal tragedy without your care, your love, and your action. These truly human beauties, your only future, only life, and your every gift to your beloved. Ending horror, beginning happiness. Another disaster report? Nope, this time good news. Ukraine, Turkey, and many other nations now hurting Russia with sanctions finally bullied badass Putin into a formal agreement to allow protected sea lanes for giant grain exports from Ukraine's Black Sea ports. Hundreds of millions of hungry Africans may soon again eat donated or purchased bread. My major theme that even the huge rogue tyrannies could be brought to heel for their essential new role in world salvation isn't so crazy. Alexander Putin trapped Ukraine's world grain support in ports for months to blackmail scores of concerned human nations into lifting crippling sanctions before he stopped deliberately starving Africa. Instead, we convinced the monster, while lifting no sanctions, that we'd twist ever more screws to starve not only his economy, but actual foreign invasion power unless he fast ended his world starvation genocide. Let this success be our history and future lesson. Don't mighty tyrants regularly crash by driving their own economies and people to bankruptcy, hunger, and consequent rage in the streets, fast sweeping over police barricades into the stupid government's own palaces? Exactly how our swords into plowshares, border defenses only treaty must soon sweep the world. Citizen movements and court national enforcement and international negotiation of our current but totally abrogated ban the bomb and conventional attack power limits nuclear non-proliferation treaty will directly inspire and prepare for our full new world-saving treaty, first adopted by scores of responsive and responsible democracies. Simultaneously, our new economic cartel will make holdout military genocide, filthy polluter kleptocracies offers they can't refuse. By all means, keep your nukes, invasion armies, and maximum CO2 blasting industries, while we cut off all raw materials and finished products except food and medicine. You'll soon throw every cop and soldier against your broke, hungry, and enraged masses. Enjoy your last lousy year in power before getting dragged out of your mahogany offices by your stringy epaulettes. When your happier plan was to stay in Fat City until your hair and teeth fall out. Okay, stay in power by getting smart. Work with our negotiators who will require your best effort to give all voters full power while giving them enough prosperity and rights to feel like voting for you, not killing you to stop you from killing them. Then your own enlightened, news-savvy population, not just domineering foreigners, will push your commitment to nuclear and conventional reductions, savings poured into factories, reducing atmosphere CO2 and converting salt water to fresh. In return for this progress, proving qualification to sign and adhere to the treaty, we'll let you live, as Mr. T says. Canceling your population wrecking and enraging embargo, 1 to 200 nations will pour into your nation green energy and new water supply and distribution help, and ply your grateful economy with cute phones, designer jeans, and 1,000 other fun things. All you halfway intelligent adults gotta do is to stop your national and world murder suicide to explode millennia of safe, healthy happiness instead of cementing in every earthling's last few years of suffering doom. You clever bosses will clutch infinitely more and longer power by giving up and away 3 world wars of total genocide power, which, surprise, surprise, only rushes your own doomsday, chumps. Will only save the world by nurturing absolutely everyone's biological selfishness and family protection love. Help all to save my ass. I ain't died, but I could be fried. Take over, Rover. Your turn, Fern. Copy this thing, Ling.